Hi folks, I'm the newstarcadefan here, and welcome back to a winner's Daydream. In the last episode, we had a fight with Otoko, which basically sapped us all of whatever chances we thought we had of reconciling with her, with Otoko, it went down the drain. And let's continue. Are you alright, you? I'm fine. Are you sure? You look a little bit down, dear. It must be that time of the year. I know what you mean. It is rather cold outside, and it gets dark so early these days. I glanced at the clock on my grandmother's wall. It's an old clock, not quite as old as my grandmother, though. It always seems to either be 5 minutes slow or 5 minutes too fast. It's loud, too. The movement of clock hands fills the little house with a string of slow, steady tick-tock ticks. When the clock is 6:30 in the evening. I don't know if I entirely trust it. It's probably not that inaccurate. The clock isn't in the habit of outright swindling people of their hours. Instead, it just makes several minutes more easily forgivable mistakes. When do you want to go to Jinguji's shrine? Not now. It's still too early. But you want to go there as soon as possible. I do, but my grandmother shakes her head. It's silly, and yet at the same time, I can't help but feel afraid. Afraid? What do you have to be afraid about? I just wonder. My grandmother traces a pattern against the top of her fingers. Will I really see Yukinari? There are no guarantees. Is this just something I told myself because, because I thought it would make for a nice story, I suppose. You won't know until you go for yourself. Well, you're not wrong about that. You've always been a pragmatic boy. I'm just trying to be sensible. Ah, yes, common sense. My grandmother nodded her head as though common sense was an old acquaintance of hers. My mother always said I lacked it. I was too busy drifting through life with my nose stuck in books. That's why I was so taken in when I met Yukinari, I think. When he caught my shawl, it really did seem like something from a novel or a stage play. Plays and books have to come from somewhere. They don't materialize overnight. People dream them into existence. I certainly did a lot of dreaming when I was a little girl. This situation is so amazing. If you told anybody, they'd think you making up stories. It's not every day an old woman wakes up discover that she's a teenage girl again. You're quite right. The spirits have bestowed an amazing blessing upon me. I shouldn't waste it. A small silence elapses. My grandmother frowns once more. Her expression thoughtful drums her fingers against the wooden top of the kotatsu. I meanwhile reach for the fruit bowl so it's like the ripe juicy orange. For some reason, oranges are intrinsically linked to the winter. It's some kind of Japanese custom, ingrained into our culture even more deeply than Christmas itself. Christmas isn't a real Japanese holiday. Anyway, we borrowed it from the West. Like Otako's favorite pair of white strappy heels, it's all imported. The oranges in my grandmother's fruit bowl, however, are locally grown. I peel the orange slowly, removing all the white pith. I'm fairly good at precise, finicky things like this. Back at home, when I still lived at home, my mother would always ask me to lend a hand when she peeled carrots or potatoes, and my dad would get me to remove the pith from his oranges in the winter. Yeah, the pith is like that nutty white stuff. I guess skinning fruits and vegetables is my special talent. Not that much of a talent. As I peel the orange, I try not to get my finger sticky, I ask, so are you going to the shrine? I suppose I should. I mean, I did buy that kimono. It would seem a shame to waste it. Was it very expensive? A woman doesn't tell. Yeah, it was very expensive. My grandmother presses a finger against her lips, but it has to be a very beautiful pattern. Flowers on a pink background with a lovely ribbon around the obi. I wanted a flashy obi like that when I was younger, but my mother said it was too garish. She said it would make me look like an easy woman. You're a naughty girl, Umeko. You should listen to your parents. Huh? My grandmother laughs and glances at the plastic bag from Tamayora. She left resting by Lisette's cupboard. I never thought I would have another chance to wear something so pretty. Not in my lifetime. It would look a bit silly for an old woman to wear something so lovely. I thought you didn't care what other people think about you. I don't. Not particularly. But sometimes even I want to look pretty. Yukinari deserves that much. My grandmother sat softly as her finger as linger on Grandpa's shrine. His frozen face, surrounded by a wooden frame, looks back at us. He's smiling brightly. If I was more taken to flights and fancy than I am, I might presume that a smiling face is some kind of sign. Come on, Umeko, old girl. What are you waiting for? Don't you want to see me again? Yeah. If my grandfather were here in this very room, I bet he'd say something like that. Of course. Yukinari was quite taken with her, and as Omako was quite taken with Yukinari. Then he'd probably ask me to peel him an orange. Well, it's just as much, still much early to go to the shrine. I'll give it another hour or so until all of the stars are out the sky. Then I think it would be much more romantic. Was the sky full of stars when you first met Grandpa? A whole host of them. It was really beautiful. He can name them all too. That's what he told me. Sounds like he was trying to impress you. Maybe so, but he didn't need to. He impressed me already. And then I thought he was the most wonderful man in the world. And part of me still does. I guess nothing can come between young love. Nothing except old age, at least. Now, do you want something to drink? That sounds like a good idea. I thought so too. These old bones need warming up. A cup of green tea is just the ticket. I'm not still picking at my orange. It wasn't snowing outside, but it is rather cold. I can hear a bitter wind blowing against the window panes, making them rattle. Oops. This old wooden house is poorly insulated, and the cool air snakes in through the gaps and the cracks. This air swirls around the living room, nipping at my fingers and my nose as I try to burrow the lower half of my body between the kotatsu. I pop a segment of orange now to boil the pith into my mouth and chew slowly. My teeth break the translucent skin of the orange, and its juice flows freely across my tongue. It's sweet and syrupy. I think it'll even taste better with tea. Right, I'll go along and get things ready. You wait here, dear. I watch mutely as grandmother bustles off to the kitchen. Though she's a young girl now, younger than even me, her movement still reminds me of my grandmother's. They look less painful. Her back no longer bent double, and her feet no longer shuffling, but she has the same dreamlike sway to her step. It's almost like she doesn't quite inhabit the same world as I do. Maybe for now she really doesn't. I don't know what mysticism turned her into a young girl again, but I do wonder, will the magic work once more when we go to the shrine? Will we really see my grandfather? I suppose it's always possible. Stranger things have happened. My grandmother and I sip our tea for a while in a companionable silence, while the wind continues to howl and moan outside. Then all the stars are twinkling in the sky. My grandmother decides to get dressed into her kimono. She exits the room, leaving me with my third cup of green tea for the evening. I savor it slowly, letting the tea slide down my throat and into my stomach. I swear I can feel it diminishing in the settled chill of winter time. It's nothing quite as replenishing as my grandmother's tea. While I drink my tea, I glance out the window curiously. The stars are well and truly out now. They hang over the small sleepy village silently while watching us from above. Though the stars are boiling, burning masses of plasma, they look awfully cold, alone, stranded up there in space. They twinkle pretty enough, but there's something almost lonely about them. There are two particularly bright stars shining away in the sky, even more significant than their rather distant cousins. I think they're called Polaris and Capella. Running between these two stars should be the Draft constellation, a curious constellation of stars that suddenly make up the shape of everyone's favorite long-necked mammal. When I was a kid, my grandfather tried to teach me about the stars. I was never at all interested, but he engaged me enough on the subject that a lot of it stuck. He told me that stars were romantic. He said the vast, most unexplored annals of space had gripped his heart from an early age and refused to let go. You know, it sounds like his grandfather, Yukinari, was in the astronomy. He didn't fuss about things like green men or unidentified flying objects. He told me space was amazing enough without introducing any what ifs. My grandfather always been fond for the stars too. I think grandfather was the one who taught her about them just like he taught me. He might not be here anymore, but the knowledge he imparted to me and my grandmother lives on, forever shining. I blink. Polaris is particularly bright tonight. I've become rather proficient at spotting Polaris thanks to my grandfather's tuition, and I remember that when you can see Polaris, Capella is only a stone's throw away. Then there's the draft. That's something I've come to like about stars. They don't really change. When they do, it's so incrementally you can't notice. That's absolutely true. Because when a star dies out, it'll take a while for the star to just to blink like that. If you're standing in the right place during the right season and all the constellations are right, you'll always be able to find the stars you're searching for. That's also true, especially in the fall months when we have some of the fall constellations like Orion. They're just like old friends, Polaris and Capella. Over and over there, a little further back, would be Betelgeuse. This star, burning a fierce yellow in the patchwork of space above, forms one of the corners of the constellation Orion, with Rigel in the opposing corner. I just mentioned about Orion. I wonder if I can see any other constellations. What about the Winter Diamond? If my grandfather was with me, he sure could find them. As I peer scouring for the sky, the scent of green tea slowly permeates the room. I can taste it on my tongue every time I breathe in. Green tea, the faint aroma of wood and snow. The stars aren't alone anymore. Framed against the black, twinkling backdrop are small flakes of powdery snow, gently drifting and pirouetting down towards the earth like shower of white flowers. Now can't help but ponder. Was it snowing the day my grandmother met my grandfather? Oh, you? A soft voice calls to me, drawing my thoughts away from the galaxies. I turned my head. There, standing in the doorway in the living room, it's my grandmother. But she doesn't look like my grandmother. She has a shy smile on her face. Her head is downturned, her dark hair cascading over her shoulders in a wave. And as for her kimono, it's beautiful. It wraps around her body, concealing her curves. She's strung up and down like a Kokeshi doll, almost featureless, in the traditionally Japanese way that denotes simple feminine beauty. The kimono was the perfect find, despite it being over a century old. It's a soft, pale pink decorated there with flowers. The sleeves are very long and graceful as they swish with the slightest movement. What do you think? My grandmother looks at the tatami mats. If I didn't know any better, I'd assume she was shy. I haven't worn a kimono in a while. I forgot how fitly they are. It, I frown stern because I don't know. You don't know what to say, do you? What can I say? It's hard to believe the woman standing before me is my own grandmother. I've never seen her look like this before. Young, carefully made up, and full of life. And here's where I'm going to end it. If you like this episode, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and to share. It helps the channel out a lot. Anyway, I'm the new Starcade fan saying thanks for watching. Have a good day or night wherever you are. And bye for now.